Campaign 2020 takes us to New Hampshire today. CBS and Boston's Paula Ebben spoke one-on-one with Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders. She asked him about impeaching the president and about Elizabeth Warren's rising numbers.
I hope that Senator McConnell is prepared to put the interest of the country ahead of politics, and that he will allow for a serious trial to take place.
Because of concerns about how the Senate will take an impeachment, do you think censure might be a better avenue for the House?
No, I think we're looking, look, we have a Constitution, which unfortunately the President of the United States has apparently not read. But part of that process is if the House impeaches the President, and I think there is a good chance that they will, it comes to the Senate. And what the American people then are entitled to is a serious trial to hear the evidence. I don't like Trump, but that's another story. The question is, has he committed impeachable offenses? That's what has to be debated.
Are you concerned that it will harm the whole Democratic field, that naturally, because of the nature of the impeachment inquiry, questions will constantly come up about Joe Biden and his son? Do you think that's damaging to the Democratic field?
Look, all that I can say, and I'll tell you what I think is damaging, is that it is absolutely imperative that candidates and the United States Congress show the American people that they can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. In other words, that while they focus on impeachment, which is enormously important, they also focus on the fact that tens of millions of Americans can't make it on 11 to 12 bucks an hour. Got to raise the minimum wage, that health care is a human right. I'll tell you, climate change, which is an existential threat to the planet. We can't ignore those issues and just focus on Trump. We got to do both.
Focusing on the state of your campaign this week, we're beginning to see articles like one in Politico this morning. Bernie Sanders is in trouble. Do you think your campaign's in trouble?
I think what is in trouble is we have a lot of, look, I don't want to go into the corporate media. I think it's fair to say that the corporate media does not consider me to be, one of the candidates that they love. So you see these articles. This is what I will tell you, is that we have well over 1 million volunteers all over this country. We have thousands and thousands of volunteers here in the state of New Hampshire. I believe we're going to win New Hampshire. I think we stand a great chance to win in Iowa. There was a poll came out, I think, yesterday, whatever these polls are worth, which had us tied with Biden in Nevada. So I think we're going to win this thing. You
are absolutely a top-tier candidate, but at this point, where poll numbers lie, there is a sense that Elizabeth Warren is gaining on you, perhaps pulling ahead of you in the minds of some Democratic voters. How do you differentiate yourself from Elizabeth Warren?
By running an aggressive campaign on the issues that impact the American people. By telling the American people that for my entire life, I have been there fighting for the working families of this country. I've taken on every powerful special interest. We have introduced the most comprehensive climate change proposal ever introduced by any presidential candidate, that I've led the effort to raise the minimum wage, that the bill that people are talking about all over the country, Medicare for All, is a bill that I have written. So I think the ideas and the issues that we're talking about are resonating with folks in New Hampshire, in Massachusetts, all over this country. That's why I think we're going to win.
Time and again, when Democratic voters are polled, they talk about how their primary focus is removing President Trump from office. They want a nominee who will be able to defeat the president. For voters who say they're concerned that your views on the Green New Deal, climate, Medicare for All are too far to the left to be the nominee,
well,
you say what?
Look, again, I have my doubts about polling in general in this day and age. But if you look at polls, what do you find? Virtually every national poll done in the last year has me defeating Donald Trump, on occasion
in a head-to-head poll,
and sometimes by double digits. So I think that we are, in fact, the strongest campaign to defeat Trump, and I will not, and that is if he's around, or if not, we'll defeat Pence, or whoever the candidate may be. But I think based on the support that we have all over the country and the issues that we are fighting for, which will improve life for working families, I think I am the strongest candidate.
One last question. We all know seniors vote in droves.
Yes.
For senior citizens who are told to be afraid that Medicare for All means accepting younger people into the system they love, and that means that they'll move to the back of the line, how do you reassure them?
That's a lot. I mean, this is what Trump is busy running around the country telling people. That happens to be, I don't want to shock everybody, but the president lies very often. This is another lie. And this is what I tell senior citizens. Medicare is a very strong program, but we have to make it stronger. And that means we need to cover hearing aids, we need to cover dental care, we need to cover eyeglasses, we need to cover home health care. That is what Medicare for All does. It improves coverage for seniors in this country, and no more out-of-pocket expenses, no more premiums.
Do you fully expect to win the New Hampshire primary once again?
Absolutely. We did last time, and we're taking nothing for granted. We have thousands of volunteers in the state. I am running all over the state. I think in 2 days we'll do 5 or 6 town meetings. I think that the volunteer effort and the staff that we have and the meetings that we're holding indicate to me, and the great turnouts that we're seeing, that we are going to win again.
Senator Bernie Sanders, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Paula.